The human research station floated quietly near the blue edge of the Lyris Nebula. It was not a military base. It was not a place of danger. At least, that was what Daniel Reyes believed when he was assigned there. Daniel was a human linguistic technician trained to assist in translation, cultural exchange, and minor diplomatic support. He was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was just good with words and patient with strange languages. The station was shared by humans and the Virelians, an alien species known across the galaxy for their calm minds and strict emotional discipline. The Virelians looked almost fragile compared to humans. They were tall and slender, with pale silver-blue skin and faint glowing lines that ran along their temples and necks. Their eyes were large and dark, reflecting light like polished glass. They spoke slowly, carefully, and never wasted words. Daniel had been warned many times during training. Do not express strong emotion in front of them. The halls were quiet. The Virelians were polite but distant. Then he met her. Her designation was Scientist Luri Vasil. She worked in xenobiology, studying how human environments affected non-human species. Daniel met her during a routine translation calibration. They sat across from each other in a white observation room. Between them floated a small holographic screen displaying shifting symbols from both languages. Luri's posture was perfect. Her hands rested neatly on the table. Her expression was neutral as Virelians were taught from early childhood, but Daniel noticed small things. The way her eyes adjusted slightly when the lights dimmed, the gentle glow of the lines on her skin when she focused. Daniel cleared his throat. Okay, let's begin. I'll speak in basic human trade language. You respond in Virelian Standard. The system will compare translations. She nodded once. Acknowledged. They went through several phrases, simple greetings, technical terms, emotional neutrality tests. Then came the unplanned moment. Daniel glanced at the screen, then at her, and without thinking, he spoke softly to himself in English. Wow, she's gorgeous. The room went silent. The translation system froze. The ambient hum of the station suddenly felt too loud. Daniel's heart stopped. He looked up slowly. Luri was staring at him. Her eyes were wide. The glowing lines on her face had shifted color, turning a deeper, warmer shade. Daniel did not know what it meant, but he knew it was not normal. Daniel started, panic rushing in. I'm sorry, that was a human expression. It was not part of the test. Please disregard. Say it again, Luri said. Her voice was calm, but something underneath it trembled. Daniel blinked. What? The word, she said carefully. Say it again, human. Daniel's training screamed at him to stop talking. Compliments were forbidden. Emotional language could be interpreted as binding intent. This could cause a diplomatic incident. I really shouldn't, he said quickly. It was inappropriate. I didn't mean to. Please, Luri said. That single word carried more weight than any command he had heard from her species before. Her glow deepened. Daniel swallowed. He chose his words slowly. I said, you are gorgeous. For several seconds, Luri did not move. Then, to Daniel's shock, she lowered her gaze. Virelians did not do that. Her glow spread down her neck, bright and warm. The room sensors adjusted, thinking the light had changed. This term, she said quietly, is not listed as neutral. No, Daniel said, his voice gentle. It's positive. It means someone is beautiful. In a strong way. Her fingers curled slightly against the table. It is not used lightly. Daniel shook his head. No, it's honest but casual. Humans say things like that when they notice beauty. It doesn't always mean more than that. Luri was silent for a long moment. In Virelian culture, she said, words that acknowledge physical or internal beauty are reserved for bonded recognition. They are spoken once in a lifetime under ceremony. Daniel felt cold. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. You spoke it without ceremony, she said. I know. That's why it was a mistake. She looked at him again. Her expression was still controlled, but her eyes were different now, curious, searching. You spoke it without fear, she said, without intent to bind, yet my body responded. Daniel had no answer. The translation system chimed, reminding them the session was still active. Lurie reached forward and paused the system herself. This interaction must be logged, she said, but I will request private clarification. Of course, Daniel said. He expected security to be called. Or a reprimand, or removal from the station. Instead, she stood. Walk with me, she said. They moved through the quiet halls together. Other Virelians watched discreetly. A few human staff noticed the unusual glow along Lurie's skin. Daniel's thoughts raced. He was sure he had just destroyed his career. They stopped near a viewport overlooking the nebula. Soft blue light filled the space. Human Daniel, Lurie said, standing beside him, not across from him. Explain why humans speak such words so freely. Daniel exhaled slowly. Because we're afraid not to. Humans don't live very long compared to most species. We lose people suddenly. So we say things when we feel them, even if it's awkward, even if it's risky. She listened without interrupting. When we see something beautiful, he continued, we say it because tomorrow might not come. Her glow pulsed softly. In our society, she said, emotional restraint preserves stability. Yet when you spoke, I felt seen, not evaluated, not categorized. Daniel looked at her. That's what compliments are meant to do. Silence settled between them, but it was not uncomfortable. I have reviewed human records, Lurie said. Your species is considered emotionally volatile. Daniel smiled faintly. That's one way to put it. Yet, she continued, you survived extinction events, internal wars, and environmental collapse. You persist. Because we care, Daniel said simply, sometimes too much. She turned toward him fully now. This was improper distance for Virelians. Say the word again, she said. Daniel hesitated. This time it was not a mistake. You are gorgeous, he said. Her glow brightened like a sunrise. Around them, unseen sensors recorded a phenomenon no Virelian had displayed in public space for over 600 years. A full emotional resonance. Somewhere else on the station, elders began to receive alerts. Daniel did not know any of that yet. All he knew was that the galaxy suddenly felt much larger and much more fragile because of one honest word spoken without fear. The alerts did not reach Daniel right away. At first, life on the station continued as normal. Humans walked the halls. Virelians moved with their usual calm precision. The nebula outside shifted slowly like a living painting, but something had changed. Daniel felt it the moment he woke the next day. Messages waited on his console, routine tasks, translation updates, and one unexpected request marked private cultural clarification. The sender was Lurie Vasil. His heart beat faster. He arrived at the cultural chamber early. The room was designed to feel neutral to all species. Soft lighting, adjustable gravity, no sharp sounds. Lurie entered quietly. Her glow was muted now, carefully controlled, but Daniel noticed it still lingered faintly along her temples. Thank you for coming, she said. Of course, Daniel replied. I wasn't sure if I was allowed. You are, she said, for now. That word carried weight. They sat across from each other, but the table felt like a barrier this time. Lurie studied him not as a subject, but as something unfamiliar and important. I reviewed the human cultural archives overnight, she said. Compliments are common among your species. Daniel nodded. Very common. They are not binding. No, he said. They can mean interest, respect, affection, sometimes nothing more than observation. And yet, she said slowly, your words triggered a biological response in me that should only occur during bond initiation. Daniel frowned. Are you in danger? No, she said quickly. But I am unsettled. She placed one long finger against the table. The glow under her skin flickered. In Virelian society, she continued, we do not acknowledge individual beauty. It creates imbalance. Desire leads to attachment. Attachment leads to loss. Daniel leaned forward slightly. Humans think the opposite. We believe attachment gives life meaning, even if it hurts. That is what confuses us, she said. You accept pain willingly. Daniel smiled sadly. We don't like it, we just don't let fear stop us from living. Silence followed. Then Lurie asked, do humans ever regret speaking such words? Daniel thought about it. Sometimes, but we regret not saying them more. Her eyes darkened, reflective. Across the station, unseen to Daniel, Virely and elders gathered. Emotional resonance logs were rare. Public resonance was almost unheard of. One human word had triggered alarms written into ancient protocols. Back in the chamber, Lurie stood. I wish to continue learning, she said. Privately, Daniel hesitated. Is that safe for you? She met his gaze. I do not know. That is why it matters. Over the next cycles, they met often, sometimes officially under the excuse of linguistic study, sometimes quietly in observation decks or empty research wings. Daniel taught her simple human phrases, not romantic ones, just honest ones. That's beautiful. You are afraid of feeling too much, Daniel said one day. Yes, Lurie replied, because feeling leads to change. Daniel laughed softly. Humans are afraid of not feeling enough. Word spread slowly. Human staff noticed Virelians lingering longer in conversation. Asking questions, watching humans laugh, argue, comfort each other. Virelian elders noticed something else. Their people were curious. During a council review, an elder spoke coldly. The human is altering our emotional equilibrium. Another replied, or revealing what we suppressed. Lurie was summoned. She stood alone before the council chamber, her glow tightly controlled, almost invisible. You are violating protocol, an elder said. Your interactions are no longer neutral. I am studying a cultural anomaly, Lurie replied calmly. The anomaly is you, another elder said. Your public resonance was recorded. Lurie lowered her head slightly. It was involuntary. Human words are dangerous, the elder said. They bypass logic. They also create trust, Lurie said. Silence fell. Your contact with the human will be monitored, the council decided. Further deviation will result in reassignment. Lurie accepted the ruling, but when she left the chamber, her glow flared just for a moment. Daniel noticed the guards outside her lab the next day. What's going on? He asked quietly. Observation, she said. Nothing more, he frowned. This is my fault. No, she said firmly. It is a choice. That night alarms sounded, not internal ones, external. An unidentified vessel appeared at the edge of the nebula. Its signature belonged to a rival alien faction known for strict dominance hierarchies. They viewed emotional species as weak and humans as unstable. The station entered lockdown. Virelian command froze, waiting for council authorization. Humans moved instinctively, securing doors, assisting civilians, preparing defenses. Daniel found Lurie in the observation wing, watching the approaching ship. They're not responding to hails, Daniel said. I know, she replied. Our protocols require deliberation. How long? He asked. Too long, she admitted. The hostile vessel fired a warning shot, not at the station but close enough to shake it. Fear rippled through the halls. Virelians struggled. Fear was an emotion they were not trained to act through. Daniel stepped forward. He spoke loudly, calmly, moving among both species. Listen to me, he said. Fear doesn't mean stop, it means move together. Some Virelians looked at him, uncertain. Lurie watched him closely. The enemy vessel advanced again. Human engineers rerouted power without waiting for orders. Medics prepared. Security teams coordinated. The station did not collapse into chaos, it moved. Lurie felt something shift inside her. Not panic, not control, resolve. She stepped beside Daniel. Council permission is delayed, she said, but action is required. Daniel nodded. Then we act. For the first time in her life, Lurie made a decision driven not by protocol but by feeling. She issued commands. The station's defenses activated. Shields rose. A warning transmission was sent, not threatening but firm. We are united, it said. Leave. The hostile vessel hesitated. They had expected fear. They had not expected cooperation born from emotion. The vessel withdrew. When the danger passed, the station was silent again, but nothing was the same. Lurie turned to Daniel. Her glow was no longer hidden. "You were right," she said softly. "Emotion is not weakness." Daniel smiled, tired but relieved. "It never was." Across the station, logs updated. Records marked the incident as the first time a Viorlian command decision was influenced by emotional input. And in those records, one human word was flagged as the starting point. Gorgeous, the withdrawal of the hostile vessel should have brought relief. Instead, it brought questions. The station returned to normal operation, but tension lingered in every corridor. Viorlian elders reviewed logs again and again. Human officers filed reports filled with unfamiliar phrases like instinctive cooperation and emotional morale boost. Daniel Reyes became the center of quiet attention. He felt it when conversations stopped as he passed. He felt it in the longer looks from Viorlians who had never truly looked at a human before. He felt it most when he stood beside Lurie. They met in a low-gravity observation chamber, where stars drifted slowly beyond the glass. No guards were inside, but Daniel knew sensors were watching. "You should keep distance from me," he said gently. Lurie's glow pulsed once. "Why?" "Because the council is nervous," he replied. "And when powerful people get nervous, they look for something to control." "I am not something," she said quietly. Daniel nodded. "I know, but they may not see it that way." She moved closer anyway, standing beside him instead of across the room. That choice alone was enough to break a dozen unspoken rules. "The council summoned me again," she said. "They questioned my command decision during the incident." "And?" Daniel asked. "They said I acted without emotional suppression," she replied. "They said I behaved human." Daniel let out a breath he did not know he was holding. "That doesn't sound like praise." "It was not meant to be," she said, "but it did not feel like an insult either." Outside the chamber, the nebula glowed brighter, stirred by unseen cosmic winds. "Daniel," Lurie said after a moment, "what does your species do when others fear what you are?" He thought about history, about misunderstandings, about wars started by fear. "We usually get hurt," he said honestly, "or we prove them wrong, sometimes both." Lurie turned toward him fully. "I do not wish harm to come to you." "That makes two of us," he said softly. Across the station, the council met in emergency session. The hostile faction had retreated, but intelligence reports warned they were watching. They saw the joint response not as unity, but as a threat. Humans inspiring emotional action in Viorlians changed the balance of power. An elder spoke, voice sharp. "The human influence must be limited." Another replied, more uncertain, "or studied." "A dangerous experiment," the first said. "Progress always is," came the quiet response. The decision was made. A station-wide cultural audit would begin. Human and Viorlian interactions would be restricted. Daniel would be reassigned temporarily to human-only quarters. The order reached him within the hour. Daniel read it twice, then a third time. "They're separating us," he said. Lurie stood very still. Her glow dimmed not from control but from something closer to pain. "I anticipated this," she said, "yet it still feels wrong." "I can request transfer off station," Daniel said quickly. "That might ease things." Her head snapped up. "No." The force in her voice surprised them both. "No," she repeated more quietly. "Leaving does not resolve fear, it rewards it." Daniel studied her. "You've changed." "Yes," she said, "and so has the station." Human staff reacted strongly to the new restrictions. They followed orders, but unease spread. Many had seen how effective unity had been during the threat. Going backward felt unnatural. The next crisis came sooner than anyone expected. A systems failure struck one of the Viorlian life support sectors. Not an attack. A cascade error caused by delayed maintenance approvals. Protocol required council authorization to override safety locks. Authorization did not come. Violin technicians froze, trapped between alarms and rules. Daniel was nearby, assisting a human engineer. "We can reroute oxygen manually," the engineer said, "but we need violin clearance." Daniel looked through the transparent barrier at the trapped technicians. Fear flickered across faces trained never to show it. He opened the channel. "This is Daniel Reyes," he said calmly. "If we wait, they die," Silence answered. Then Lurie's voice cut in. "Override approved," she said. "I take responsibility." The locks disengaged. Oxygen flowed. Lives were saved. The council reaction was immediate. Lurie was formally charged with repeated emotional deviation. Daniel was summoned as a contributing influence. They stood together in the council chamber, surrounded by towering figures whose glows were cold and controlled. "You have crossed the line between observation and alteration," an elder said to Daniel. Daniel met their gaze. "I didn't force anyone to feel anything." "You taught her to," the elder replied. "No," Daniel said firmly. "I taught her to speak honestly." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Lurie stepped forward. "If honesty is a crime," she said, "then our society is fragile." The words shocked the chamber into silence. "You risk cultural collapse," an elder warned. "No," Lurie replied. "We risk stagnation." The council deliberated. Their final ruling was harsh. Lurie would be removed from her research position and reassigned to deep monitoring duty, alone. Daniel would be placed under restricted movement until further notice. As guards approached, Daniel felt anger rise. Fear followed. But beneath both was something stronger. He reached out, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the warmth of him. "You are not alone," he said quietly. Her glow flared bright and uncontrolled. The guards hesitated. That moment was recorded. Later, alone in his quarters, Daniel sat in silence. He wondered if one word had truly been worth all of this. Then his console chimed, a private message from Lurie. "I do not regret it," it read. "Not the word, not the feeling, not choosing to act." Daniel smiled, eyes burning. Across the station, more violins whispered among themselves. About the human who spoke without fear. About the scientist who chose feeling over protocol. About how alive the station had felt during crisis. The hostile faction censors picked up those whispers too. They began to prepare, and somewhere deep within Violin society, a truth was forming, quiet, dangerous, and impossible to suppress. Emotion was not the enemy, and humans were not the problem. They were the spark. The reassignment order did not remove Lurie from the station. It removed her from visibility. Her new duty placed her in a deep monitoring wing, far from public corridors and research halls. The wing was quiet, built for long observation shifts and isolation. It was meant to calm the mind. For Lurie, it felt like a cage. Daniel was confined to his quarters except for supervised work. Humans protested quietly, but they followed orders. They always had. The station felt colder. Without Lurie's presence in shared spaces, something subtle disappeared. Conversations shortened. Violins returned to strict formality. Humans felt watched again, but suppression did not erase change. It only pushed it underground. Daniel spent long hours translating data alone. At night, he replayed memories of their conversations. He wondered if the galaxy would have been safer if he had stayed silent that first day. Then the alerts came. Not a warning shot this time. An entire hostile fleet emerged from folded space beyond the nebula. Multiple vessels, heavy mass, clear intent. The station shook as emergency alarms echoed through every deck. Violin command protocols activated instantly. Councils assembled. Deliberation began. Too slowly. The hostile faction transmitted a single message. Emotional contamination detected. Surrender the human influence or be neutralized. Fear spread. This fear was different. It was not just danger. It was the fear of becoming something new and being punished for it. Human security teams moved to defensive positions without waiting. Engineers rerouted power. Medics prepared evacuation zones. Violian crews hesitated. Their protocols were not designed for enemies who exploited hesitation itself. Daniel was escorted to a secure chamber with other humans. Through the reinforced viewport, he saw the first impacts strike the station's outer shields. They were testing defenses. Daniel clenched his fists. They know exactly what they're doing. They want us divided, a human officer said. Daniel thought of Lurie, alone, isolated, still monitored. He felt a surge of determination that burned away doubt. This station doesn't survive without unity, he said. Not human unity. Everyone. Permission to speak to the council was denied. So Daniel did what humans had always done when systems failed. He broke the rules. Using an unsecured internal channel, he broadcast a message, not officially, not as a command, but as a voice. "This is Daniel Reyes," he said. "I know many of you are afraid. That's okay. Fear means you care if we survive." Violian technicians froze mid-task, hearing emotion in his tone. "You were taught that control keeps you safe," Daniel continued. "But today, control without action will kill us." The channel began to flood with responses, some angry, some uncertain. Lurie heard the message in the monitoring wing. Her glow flared instantly. She rose from her station, ignoring automated warnings. She opened her own channel and spoke. "This is Scientist Lurie Vasil," she said. "I support the human." Gasps echoed across command decks. She continued, voice steady but alive. "I acted on feeling before. It saved lives. I will do so again." The council attempted to cut the channel. Too late. Something extraordinary happened. Other Violians spoke. Not many, but enough. "We request permission to act." Human pilots and Violian navigators worked side by side. Emotional calls filled channels. Warnings, encouragement, raw honesty. Shield at 30%. She stood before the council again, but this time the chamber shook with distant impacts. "You isolated emotion," she said. "Now it returns." The elders saw it then. Violians acting faster, adapting, responding to fear instead of freezing beneath it. The hostile faction had not expected resistance fueled by connection. Their ships took damage. They regrouped. Then they targeted the deep monitoring wing. They had identified Lurie as a catalyst. A strike breached the sector. Explosions tore through corridors. Daniel felt it through the deck. "Lurie," he ran. Security orders meant nothing now. Humans followed him instinctively. Some Violians did too. They reached the damaged wing amid smoke and flickering lights. Daniel found Lurie pinned beneath fallen structure, her glow flickering erratically. He dropped beside her. "I'm here." Her eyes focused on him, relief washing through her features. "You came." "Of course I did," he said, lifting debris with others. His muscles burned, but he did not stop. They freed her. The hostile fleet launched its final threat, a focused energy strike aimed at the station core. There would be no time for deliberation. Lurie looked at the tactical display. "We cannot block it." Daniel met her gaze. "But we can redirect." The maneuver required manual alignment in an exposed control conduit. A human would not survive alone. A Violian would freeze under emotional overload. Together, they moved. Daniel and Lurie entered the conduit as alarms screamed. Heat surged. Radiation levels spiked. Lurie's control faltered. Fear flooded her senses. Daniel spoke, not commands, not protocol. "I'm with you," he said. "Feel it, then move." She did. She let fear sharpen her focus instead of paralyze it. They aligned the conduit. The energy strike diverted, tearing harmlessly into open space. The hostile fleet broke formation. Then they fled. Silence followed. The station stood scarred, damaged, alive. In the aftermath, the council reconvened. This time, the chamber was different. Violians glowed openly, not wildly but honestly. The lead elder spoke slowly. "Our doctrines failed." Lurie stepped forward, standing beside Daniel without hesitation. "Emotion did not weaken us," she said. "It completed us." The elder looked at Daniel. Human. Your word caused disruption, Daniel nodded. Yes. And survival, the elder added. After long silence, the council reached a decision that would echo across the galaxy. Emotional expression would no longer be suppressed. It would be studied, integrated. Humans would remain. Lurie's reassignment was revoked. Her bond with Daniel, whatever form it took, would not be forbidden. Later, standing once more at the viewport, Daniel turned to her. You changed everything, he said. She smiled, an expression once impossible for her species. No, she replied softly. You spoke one honest word. Outside, the nebula shimmered. The galaxy had felt it, and it would never forget. The station breathed quietly in the aftermath of the attack. Smoke had cleared, alarms were silent, and distant repair drones drifted along the outer hull. Life was returning to normal, or at least what passed for normal on a station at the edge of a nebula, still humming with shared human and Virelian presence. Daniel walked the observation deck alone, the soft hum of machinery underfoot, thinking of everything that had happened. It had been weeks since the hostile fleet retreated. Repairs were ongoing, protocols were being rewritten, and the Council had formally recognized the actions of humans and Virelians working together under extreme stress. It was the first time the station's council had openly acknowledged the value of emotional initiative in centuries. Lurie appeared beside him quietly. Her glow was subtle, controlled, yet undeniably warm. Daniel looked at her and noticed the subtle shift in her expression, a hint of something he could finally recognize as relief, perhaps even joy. You shouldn't be out here, he said gently. The council still monitors every step you take. I can endure observation, she replied softly, her eyes meeting his. It does not concern me, not anymore. Daniel smiled faintly. You've changed everything. And you, she said, voice low, spoke one word that shook centuries of control. One word that made me feel alive. Daniel felt a warmth in his chest. I didn't plan it, he admitted. It just slipped out, but I guess it changed everything anyway. She studied him for a long moment, her glow pulsing slightly. Then she stepped closer, breaking the usual spatial boundaries of Virelians. Say it again, she said, her voice quiet but firm. Daniel blinked. Say what? The word, she said simply. The word you spoke the first time, the one that started this. A laugh escaped him. You mean gorgeous? Yes, she said. Say it again, I want to hear it. Daniel felt the weight of the moment. It was more than a compliment now. It was history, it was honesty. It was acknowledgement of trust, courage, and change. He took a breath, steadying himself. You are gorgeous, he said, louder this time, clearer, deliberate. For the first time, Lurie smiled openly, a full expression her species rarely displayed. Her glow deepened, not wildly but warmly, filling the small observation deck with a soft radiance. Daniel felt it too, a resonance in the air, a subtle vibration that made the station feel alive in a way it had not before. You mean it? She asked softly, still glowing. I mean it, he said, more than I ever realized before. She nodded once, then reached for his hand. It was the first physical contact between them outside of work protocols, and Daniel felt the weight of history in the gesture. You changed my world, human, she said, and now I want to walk through it with you. Daniel squeezed her hand. And I'll do the same, whatever comes. News of their cooperation, bravery, and emotional initiative spread beyond the station. Reports reached nearby colonies, distant councils, and even the intelligence networks of rival factions. Across the galaxy, species once suspicious of humans began to see them differently, not as fragile, reckless, or unpredictable, but as catalysts. Humans inspired courage, honesty, and unity. Within the station, change was more tangible. Policies were rewritten to encourage open communication between species. Emotional training was integrated into Virelian officer protocols, not as a replacement for discipline, but as a complement. Humans were no longer viewed as a danger to their emotional balance. They were teachers, partners, even allies in evolution. Lurie and Daniel continued their collaboration. They shared meals in the quiet observation chambers, exchanged stories of history and culture, and taught each other small human and Virelian rituals. Daniel taught her how humans celebrated victories quietly, with simple words of acknowledgement and subtle gestures. Lurie taught him the precision and control of Virelian observation, showing him how to notice details humans often missed. One evening, as the twin suns of the nearby system set against the nebula, Lurie turned to Daniel. "Do you know why your one word mattered so much?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "Because it was honest." "Yes," she said, "but more than that, it reminded us that words carry meaning beyond protocol. That action, when guided by emotion, can surpass logic alone. It reminded us that humans are dangerous, not with weapons, but with honesty and courage." Daniel smiled, feeling the truth of her words. "I guess humans really are something." "You are," she said, "and now so is the galaxy." Time passed. Daniel and Lurie continued their work, growing closer not just as colleagues but as partners. Their collaboration became a symbol of hope, showing that connection across species was possible. Visitors to the station remarked on the unusual warmth between them, the ease of their communication, the glow that seemed to follow her wherever they went. For the first time, Virelians openly acknowledged admiration, not just for her, but for Daniel as well. The young scientist and the human technician became examples of what cooperation, honesty, and bravery could achieve. The word that had sparked it all, gorgeous, was repeated quietly in reports, in stories, in personal messages. It became a symbol of a new era, where honesty, emotional truth, and courage were celebrated rather than feared. One day, after months of repairs and renewed station routines, Daniel and Lurie walked along the outer observation ring. Stars drifted slowly in the nebula and distant colonies glimmered like scattered jewels. "You've changed more than just policies," Daniel said. "You've changed lives, and not just here." "And you," Lurie replied, taking his hand, "have changed me, my understanding, my world." "My heart," Daniel chuckled softly. "Careful or you'll make me feel important." "You are important," she said, voice warm, glowing faintly. "To me, to this station, to the galaxy." He squeezed her hand. "And you're gorgeous," he said again, just for her. Her glow brightened fully this time, as if the nebula itself acknowledged her happiness. She leaned closer, resting her head lightly against his shoulder. The two of them stood quietly, watching stars drift, feeling a connection that transcended words, protocol, and fear. In the weeks and months that followed, humans and Virelians learned from each other. The station became a hub of cooperation, innovation, and exploration. The galaxy beyond looked on, seeing humans not just as survivors or wanderers, but as catalysts for change, unity, and courage. The story of a single word, spoken by accident, spoken honestly, spoken without fear, spread across the stars. It reminded everyone that sometimes the simplest human gestures carried the greatest power. One word had reshaped tradition. One word had inspired bravery. One word had created a bond across species. And Daniel and Lurie, they continued to speak honestly, to act bravely, and to live fully. Side by side, human and Virelian, they walked through a galaxy that had finally learned to value both courage and connection. The nebula shimmered around them, indifferent yet alive, as if the universe itself recognized the change. It was small, yet it was immense. A single compliment had done what centuries of protocol could not, and somewhere deep within, Daniel smiled. He had made a mistake that became history, and she, the alien girl, blushed once more, not in error but in joy. Together they faced the stars, knowing the galaxy would never be the same again. The simple truth lingered between them, stronger than any council decision or fleet of starships. Honesty, courage, and the human heart could change the universe. And in that truth, both of them thrived.